It's Oscars time.
Dun, dun, dun. We love Oscars time.
Yeah.
We've been looking forward to this.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hollywood's biggest night.
Right.
Can't wait.
I feel like we're on the red carpet. This is really exciting. I'm glad whoever came up with this idea decided to do it.
Me
I think
too.
it was all, I think, in just,
Yeah, it was sort of a general feeling.
It was organic.
We were all excited
Yeah.
about the movies that came out last year. We were a little more plugged in maybe than some years
Yeah.
before, and so I think we've been definitely the three of us have been really excited about the Oscar season.
Yeah.
And watching all the nominated movies or trying to. But
So just to let you guys know what we're going to do, we're going to go through the 6 big categories, the 4 acting categories, the director, and the best picture. We are going to make our personal picks, and then we're going to make a prediction on what we think the Academy will do. There were 10 films in the Best Picture, and that covered most of the main categories. There are a couple sort of outliers. I saw all of the films in the main categories that we're going to talk about, which I thought was, I don't know that I would have normally done that. You know what I mean? Normally I try to do that, but
are you guys usually successful?
no, I don't remember that I've ever done it. I mean, I know
neither.
my parents used to do it, way back when I was, living at home.
Yeah.
And there was 5
There were
films.
only 5.
And
Yeah.
you had to go to the theater usually. They
Right,
wouldn't come out
right.
on tape
Right.
until probably after the Oscars.
Yes.
So this was really fun. And I don't know if it's just this year, but it felt like a really good year.
I agree.
I enjoyed almost
There-
every film that I watched.
Yeah, I enjoyed a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was hard to pick then. It's like, obviously, it's a good movie, and
Yeah.
and it's being recognized. And again, like I've said before, because of this challenge, I've watched way more movies than I probably would have watched, and I watched movies that I probably would never have watched.
Yeah.
And it's been enlightening, and it's been good, and just to kind of open yourself up to new things.
So all 3 of us watched all 10 of the Best Picture nominees,
Nice.
right? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good. I finished 3. The 3 I had left over, I watched this past weekend.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I'm fully in.
So it'll
caught
be
up,
interesting to
ready
see,
go.
was there recency bias or early bias?
Judging by my personal top 5, which we'll
Yeah.
get to in a second,
Yeah.
there is one of the 3 I watched this weekend that made
Okay.
it into my top 5.
Yeah.
So
I have I run both sides because the very first one I watched, I think is going to be my number 1, and then my
wow.
very last one I watched moved a bunch of stuff because it moved up really high, and I was like, oh my gosh. So anyway, so it was fun. I think Cathy won the contest. She saw the most.
Oh, I think
films.
so.
Okay. Well, I
absolutely-
haven't counted them
Yeah.
all yet.
Okay.
I'm at
Recording
about
this-
28
Yeah.
Wow.
of the 38.
Of the 38.
Yeah.
I think
Nice.
I ended up in maybe 18. Let's start with Best Supporting Actor, which is I think one of the harder
This is my hardest
categories
one,
in
yeah.
the whole deal. So, and we're going to start with what we think. For me, this is the one that the last one I watched was Poor Things. I watched that this weekend, and I was expecting to be it's fine. It's kind of an artsy thing, and
Maybe you
know,
got that from me when I explained it.
well, no. I mean, I think even knowing,
Yeah.
I was it's going to be, it's an Academy Award type movie, but it's not going to be amazed by it. But man, that movie was so fun and so funny, so good, so well done, and as great as Emma Stone was, which I think she was great. I don't think the film is what it is without Ruffalo. He just every scene just crushes it, and so he's my pick for actor in a supporting role. But tough calls all around.
Cathy, where do you land?
I'm going with Robert Downey Jr. That's
Okay.
my personal
That's a-
pick because I think he kind of in a bit transformed himself. I was telling Harvey when we were watching it at home, we were way more than halfway through the movie when then my husband goes, "Oh, that's Robert Downey Jr."
Yeah, I don't think that. Yeah, I think lots of people had that.
Yeah.
And
experience.
I think
so.
that's a sign that he was doing an amazing job, and I
Yeah.
thought he was great. And I think he well deserved the nomination, obviously. And I hope that he wins, and I think he will win.
Yeah.
I think he likely, and not to jump the gun here, but I think he will likely win the actual award. I think he's swept every award show
Has
leading
he?
up to it.
I'm making like a decision on the spot.
Split decision.
Because all of these are tough. Because we got to give love to Sterling K. Brown, right?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
he was so good as Cliff and
I feel like I could have just used a little bit more of him. As
I
the
know.
only
Yeah,
thing.
he was just
Like,
Every
he said a
scene,
couple
it's
little-
with
but he
him and
was-
Jeffrey Wright together, and Jeffrey Wright's amazing too.
Oh,
With the
he
two
is.
of them, like the chemistry just sparkles.
Yeah.
And I just want to see a whole movie, like a
Yeah.
buddy. I wanted that movie to continue, and I want them to just. I want a whole buddy movie
Maybe
with
we'll
the
get a
brothers.
sequel,
and,
although
yeah.
it seems like that's kind of a crazy idea, but who knows? Maybe.
And then Bobby De Niro was just fantastic in Killers of the Flower Moon as
was.
well. But I think I got to give it to Ryan Gosling as
Okay.
Ken. Just brings so much of the comedy, and I don't know.
Yeah.
That performance is just
He made me
wild to
laugh
me. Like,
constantly.
but again, it's 5 of some of my favorite performances of the year, all
Yeah.
right here in this category. So, but I think I'm going to go Gosling though.
okay.
Okay. So then we all agree that Downey Jr. is going
Yes.
to be the pick
Yeah.
for,
We
for
think
the
he will
Academy.
win.
I think you can pretty much lock that one in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think and I'm going to use my time right this second to I'll have to get. I wish I could give credit. I don't know who came up with this idea, but the whole Oppenheimer, the Christopher Nolan cast Downey Jr. in this role, and I mean it's not really I'm not going to spoil, but anyway, the fact that Nolan sort of restarted the comic book hero movies, and I think has some regret about it, might reflect Oppenheimer's
Yeah.
thing, like as a personal standpoint.
There's some duality going on.
And
there,
the fact that
Downey.
he cast
RDJ.
right in that role, Tony Stark
Tony
is
Stark.
in Oppenheimer.
Yeah, both Iron Man and Dark Knight came out the same year.
Right.
And yeah,
Yeah. All right, let's move on to actor or actress in a supporting role.
it's Divine Joy Randolph for me.
Okay.
And I didn't actually I haven't seen Naiad, and I
Yep.
love Jodie Foster, but I haven't seen that, and I have not seen Color Purple. So we'll take
Okay.
that for what it is. And I only
Yeah.
saw 3 of these 5 movies. But Divine Joy Randolph, yeah, she's fantastic in The Holdovers. She just brings such an excellent heart. I mean, the movie is heartwarming in general, but yeah, I just love her character and her performance, though.
I'm going to agree with the call on her. I thought she was amazing in that movie. I'll give another shout out though on I think Jodie Foster. It was really good in Naiad.
Yeah.
Naiad was a perfectly fine movie, and I think without her, it's not very good. Do you know what I mean? And I think she brought it from average to like a really good,
Above,
yeah.
nominated.
So that's my pick. What about you, Cathy?
Well, I think Divine Joy Randolph will win,
Okay.
and I thought she was great. But if I'm going to go with my personal pick,
Yeah.
I had narrowed it down between Jodie Foster and Danielle Brooks,
Okay.
who was in The Color Purple.
Yeah.
And I've decided on Danielle Brooks because I just think she's great. She's a great actress. She was in Orange is the New Black and
Yeah.
was awesome. But then just seeing her in this role, and it's kind of an iconic role, and it's the role that Oprah played in the original Color Purple. And I think she just really embraced it, and I just love seeing her do her thing in The Color Purple. It was great.
But we all agree on Divine Joy Randolph
Yes.
as the
Yeah, we
Academy's
do.
choice, and Zach and I agree as personal, and Cathy zagged with
Well,
no, which is great. I
That's
love it.
personal choice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
I mean,
great.
I'm predicting the winner.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
The personal choice.
Best actor. I've got Paul Giamatti because I love Paul Giamatti.
That's
and
my personal choice too.
I
That's your
love
personal.
the holdovers so much, and as great as Divine Joy Randolph was, and she was great. I thought Giamatti just crushed it, and I think the rest of them I thought were really good. I thought Cillian Murphy obviously was fantastic in Oppenheimer,
Yeah.
and I enjoyed Bradley Cooper and Maestro, even though it was probably not my favorite film of these. But and not to forget Jeffrey Wright, who I thought was just
Yes.
unbelievable in
Yeah.
American Fiction.
Yeah, me and Amanda were watching, and we both said, I love Jeffrey Wright and love his swagger and his
Yeah.
everything he brings to all of his roles, but his voice is just like we said. We just want him to narrate every
Yeah.
single audiobook that has ever been in
Right.
existence,
That's
and
a good call.
I'll listen to it. So
All right, what about you, Cathy?
Okay, my personal choice was Bradley Cooper and Maestro.
Okay.
Because I just thought he was great. I thought
Nice.
the 2 leads in that movie were just so good.
yeah,
And I know that maybe just hearing kind of his backstory and that he brought this movie to film.
Yeah,
He had
he
worked so
directed
hard
it,
on it, directed it, produced it.
Learned how to become
and
a
learned-
for like 6 years.
Yeah,
Learned how to become a conductor. Yeah.
So that's that kind of, with that kind of performance, it has to be a personal pick
Yeah,
for me.
and that's a good point. His performance, I would say it was a 3-star for me. It was a 3-star movie, and then the whole scene in the London, was it the London Symphony,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
That whole scene
Yeah.
brought it up a whole nother star.
Yeah.
But that's because of his performance.
His performance.
It's just
And I think,
incredible.
honestly, I think he would be a favorite in almost any other year. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Probably
Like,
it speaks to how strong I
Yeah.
think the other contenders
Yeah.
are. Or contestants.
The prediction is
Yeah.
that Cillian Murphy from Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
will
I think
get it.
all three of us across the board are predicting
Yeah.
that one. But it seems like, from what I can gather, I think it's maybe a little tighter than some of the other ones. The other ones we've predicted
Yeah.
and the others that are probably going to happen have felt like locks.
And you
Right.
think
And
that
this one's a little closer between Cillian Murphy and
Paul Giamatti.
and
Giamatti.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
have you given your take on this yet?
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with
Okay.
you. I think it's my personal is Giamatti, and then Cillian Murphy. But and he's great, and that's not this. We haven't really talked about his performance. It's really good, but there's a lot going on in Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
There's a lot of moving pieces, a lot of actors, and I don't
Well, and he was
necessarily.
pretty
I don't.
understated too. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It was-
and so he's great, but I don't necessarily think of one performance shines above the others.
Yeah.
Like Matt Damon's great in it, Emily Blunt's great in it,
Right.
RDJ. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
RDJ is the performance I would say shines above maybe some of the
Yeah.
others,
Yeah.
but I'm thinking more about the Nolan of it all, the technical aspect
Right.
of it, the sound and the editing, and so I'm not.
Without that, it's hard to.
It really
imagine.
is, yeah. So that's where I'm at personally, but.
Okay, let's move on to Best Actress.
Yep.
Zach, I'll let you kick us off this time.
My personal choice would be Emma Stone, like we
Okay.
said, because that movie's great and it's wild and it's kind of out there, but she goes for it.
Yeah.
She really does go for it, and so much of that movie hinges on her performance and whether or not you believe her in that role, and
Yeah,
you're along with her in the journey, and you believe in her, and so that's why she gets my personal vote. But I am predicting, I think, kind of like you, that Lily Gladstone will win. But this one is real. It seems like 50-50.
Yeah.
And I do really, really like Lily Gladstone in Killers of the Flower Moon. But I think my take is that because she's great, but there are a lot of other powerhouse performances in that movie. I think that, like, because Leo didn't get nominated,
Right.
But we're following his story throughout a large chunk of it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like,
Yeah.
and unfortunately. I really liked Lily in the movie again, but I don't think she gets a whole lot to do compared to what Leo's doing, what De Niro are doing.
Right. Well, and I think Cathy and I both like this movie quite a bit,
A lot,
Killers
yeah.
of the Flower Moon.
Yeah.
And it's such a understated performance, but it's
It
such
is,
a
yeah.
sort of understated film for how much is happening. Do you know what I mean? And so, and for her to just go toe to toe with Leo and De Niro.
And her presence too.
Yeah.
Like, how many times have we seen
Like,
Leo
her
in movies? Like,
eyes.
that's Leonardo DiCaprio right
Yeah.
there,
Right.
and there she is across the table from
Yeah.
him, and
Yeah.
she's holding her own.
Yeah.
And speaking the native language, I think is also big. I thought she was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have teetered on that. I would tell you what, I watched Killers of the Flower Moon, and I saw Maestro. I thought Carey Mulligan was awesome. I
Yep.
thought she did great.
Yeah.
So my whole time I was like, okay, that's going to be my personal pick. And then we saw Poor Things, and I was like, it's kind of like you said. The movie it's Emma Stone.
Yeah.
And just the I think a lot of times too, based on the character that you play, you have to factor in what skills that took. And, a lot of times people who play like characters with the disabilities and stuff like that, there's a little more to it than that. And they win a lot.
Yeah.
But this is a total, she was wild.
She
It was
went
a
for it.
whole, it was like a Frankenstein thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
And,
But then her
and she did
development
great.
and her
Even
growth throughout the
her
movie is
development,
just,
how
like,
to
so
learn how to
awesome.
walk and
Yeah.
do things. And she was great. And so ends up being my personal pick and my prediction for the win.
Okay, I'm gonna predict Lily Gladstone as the winner. My personal pick is Sandra Hüller in Anatomy of a Fall. This is my Zag.
Yeah, I like it.
I love that movie, and she, like, if you think about it, and really, you should please watch that if you get a chance to see it. I'm not sure if it's streaming yet. I don't think it is. But
you can rent it.
okay, yeah. If you just because like from the first scene downstairs with the interview, and then her interactions with her kid, and then all the stuff in the courtroom. It's just and with her lawyer, it's just, oh my gosh, I loved her so much, and she was also fantastic in Zone of Interest.
I was just gonna say,
well.
like, give her credit for Zone of Interest too. Like, carries 2 movies that were nominated for Best Picture.
No, I mean she's probably the most interesting character in the Zone of Interest.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah.
So that's my pick. I don't expect that she would win. I think it's gonna be Lily Gladstone or Emma Stone. I think those are the 2 choices, but I got to give her props on that. Another fantastic. Run of directors.
Really? Yeah, absolutely.
But we all agree across the board that this is going to be Christopher Nolan's night for director, and I think we all agree with that as being. I mean, as far as the technical execution of the film, I don't know how you can really. Although, I mean, honestly, they all. If you look at,
all have their
Lanthimos, Glazer. I mean, they all executed really well. They had a vision and they pushed it through. But I think Nolan is just a step above everybody this time.
I think so, and I think
major production overall. Just again, the way he handled everything. From the actors to the shots to the
effects and the sound and it was all of that. And the fact that it was did really well in the box office and critically, right? That's sort of a crossover that you don't always see.
Right. And it feels like they're christening Nolan, like giving him credit for this movie, but also the Dark Knight, Inception, the Interstellar, like everything kind of leading up to this a little bit.
He's never won director. I think that he win for screenplay on one of those.
I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, sorry.
But do give some love to Zone of Interest as well. That's a movie to be experienced. I think it's definitely not a tough, or it's a tough movie. It's not a one you just put on a Sunday afternoon while you're doing dishes or whatever. It's a sit and think and watch and experience, I believe.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I you can't, probably not everybody can do it this way, but I watched mine on a plane with headphones and it was like I couldn't imagine a more intense way to experience that movie, like by myself and then fully affected. I mean, the sound design on that movie is amazing. I hope it wins best sound. Okay.
I would vote for that for sure.
All right, last category is Best Picture. The nominees are American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest. We're going to give each of us the ability to do our top 5.
Okay.
So anybody want to go first?
So we do top 5 first and then our predictions.
And then our predictions,
okay. Cathy, why don't you start?
Killers of the Flower Moon. Yeah. It was great. Oppenheimer, loved it. American Fiction, so good. And again, the acting was so good in that, and really I just love a good story.
Oh, it's such a great story.
I love a good story.
Yeah.
Past Lives, I love.
We haven't mentioned that at all.
And we haven't mentioned it at all.
No,
and it was so good. Another really good story, and it's up for best screenplay too.
Yeah.
And that kind of film is the one that draws me in, and you really get invested in the characters.
Yeah, and it doesn't overstay its welcome either. Yeah. Which a lot of people complain about movies being a little too long these days, and that one it leaves you wanting more.
Yeah.
I just want that. I want those final scenes to continue, and everything else.
Yeah,
perfect ending.
And then and then The Holdovers was so good, and we're all in agreement. The Holdovers was really good.
Okay,
but can I say going back, especially with Killers of the Flower Moon and Oppenheimer, I'm a sucker for when you get to learn stuff. That's based on something true that happened. Yeah. And I love a movie that you watch and then
you go to Wikipedia.
Then you go research it a little bit.
I do too. I love that.
Yeah. So that's why they're in my top 5.
All right, Zack.
Okay, number 5, Poor Things. Number 4, Past Lives, which I just watched this past weekend. It's really fresh. And it entered into the discussion.
Yeah.
So good.
And then 3, 2, 1 are very, very close. But I think I got to go Oppenheimer at 3, Barbie, which we haven't talked a ton about Barbie,
right.
is 2. And a lot of that has to do with the way I saw it and the conversation and the fact that movies were the main topic of pop culture for that whole run, that kind of summer with Barbenheimer. So that made it really fun to be able to have a really good experience seeing it with a lot of friends, and then seeing Oppenheimer the next day with my wife and my dad, and so have really special attachment to that and those 2 movies. But then number 1, I think, is Holdovers. To be quite honest with you, is one that it ended, and I'm like, yeah, man, that's how you do a movie.
Right.
They don't make them like this anymore. And it left me feeling warm and fuzzy, and it is entered my yearly, if I can, Christmas movie lexicon.
Yeah.
I think I saw it maybe 3 weeks after Christmas, and so
Yeah.
the vibes were still kind of there.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
That's a good plan.
Harvey, you?
I like Zach, and you and I are very close in our list, which I
There's
really
only a couple
like.
that was switched.
So you had Poor Things and then Past Lives, and I'm going to go Past Lives and Poor Things. But honestly, I love both of those movies, and I just wanted to put them right up there. I've got Oppenheimer at 3. Again, this is just more of a zag. I mean, I enjoyed Oppenheimer a lot. And then my top 2, I've got Holdovers at 2. But I changed that last night. I had it at 1, and then I changed my mind.
Yeah.
And at number 1, I've got Anatomy of a Fall.
You love that movie.
Nobody else.
I remember you telling me about it.
Had that on their list, and it was my first film that I watched from this whole run, and I enjoyed it so much, and I almost went back and watched it again last night, but ran out of time. But yeah, so that's my pick, and.
I tell you, my phone tried to play the steel drum version of PIMP,
Yeah.
and I wanted to throw it across the room. Nope, I'm not
Never
listening to
gonna hear
that.
that
I can't. It puts me in her role. I'm I might throw somebody off a roof potentially if I hear that again. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
All right, well, good picks, everybody. And then we're all in agreement that the Academy is going to give the award to Oppenheimer.
Yeah, it's pretty much destined at this point. This would be a major shock, I think. If it
I think
went to
the only
something
ones
else.
that people are saying maybe have a chance. I think there's some zone of interest action. I think there's a little bit of Anatomy of a Fall.
Yeah.
And then I think there's some folks that think that maybe Barbie is a total out of because she didn't get Best Director,
and then maybe
and then people are just
feeling
you know what, let's just
what?
give her Best Picture.
That's interesting.
But I think that's
Sometimes,
I would lose my
sometimes
mind.
there's a surprise.
I know. I think I would lose my mind. I mean,
Yeah.
I would love that.
Maybe it'll be Maestro. Who knows? Anyway, this
I
has
like
been
that movie.
This has been fun.
Yeah.
We'll have to do it again next year. I hope that we get as good a crop.
I know this is
Right.
a really good crop of
Right.
movies. Yeah, and real
I
quick,
don't
I
want to
know.
watch a bunch of stinkers.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
and we're pretty pressed on time. We've been
Okay.
going for a while,
Yeah,
and we'll try to chop it up as we can. But were these your favorite movies of the year? Were there any movies you saw that didn't get maybe on the Best Picture
I
list?
mean, I really honestly had not gotten into movies that much until we started this. The only other one that I had seen that I really liked was Iron Claw.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that. I mean, I think in other years it may have made it in Best Picture.
I think
but
so.
that was the only other one that stood out to me.
Yeah.
I had not seen the what's the other screenplay? May December. I want to watch that. I haven't
Oh,
seen
yeah,
that one.
that's a
yet.
good one.
Yeah,
So,
it's worth a watch. Yeah.
What about you?
Iron Claw was one I was
Okay.
thinking of for sure. I thought might get some acting nominations and
Yeah.
maybe Best Picture, but I'm not
It's a
sure.
tough year,
I'm not sure
man.
it is.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that. And we know there's a lot of behind the scenes campaigning that goes
Right.
on. It's not necessarily. There's a bit of a popularity contest that goes on with it. But also, I know it's nominated for visual effects, and I really hope it wins. But my favorite movie of last year was Godzilla -1.
Oh, yeah, you
and so
did that.
I would really love to see that because
It's
was
on the list.
It was a very small team, I think, that
Yeah.
put that together compared to the Marvels and the Star Wars of the world. When
Mm-hmm.
they got huge budgets and huge crews of people, and so they did a lot with what little they had. And it's love that movie.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I think that's what I would say.
Any other categories you want to just throw out real quick that you think?
I think I'm okay. Kathy's seen more
Yeah.
movies than we have, so
Okay,
she
all
might.
right.
Do you have
I
one
just,
before we go?
again, I love the documentaries that I've seen. Recently, the American Symphony with John Batiste. It's
Oh,
so
right.
good. It just talks about his triumph as a musician, his wife dealing with leukemia. Again, I love documentaries as well, and so you should check out the list of the documentaries that have been nominated and give them a peek.
Okay. I'm going to shout out Cord Jefferson for adapted screenplay, American Fiction.
And directed, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But I really hope that I think he has a chance to
he
win that
wins,
adapted screenplay, and I hope that he get that. And then, like I mentioned earlier, sound on Zone of Interest. I think there'll be some push for Oppenheimer just because the wave, but man, that film without the sound is just nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, well, this has been fun, guys.
It's been fun, yeah. Oscars are Sunday night at 7:00.
Yes,
on ABC.
And you guys will be back on Monday to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Hopefully there won't be anything controversial like that you have to talk about. You can just
do you remember me and Scott were on the morning after the slap, and that was an interesting one. So hopefully nothing like that. Hopefully no one gets hit live on stage. Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been fun. Thanks, guys, and we'll go back to the studio on Friday.